Hey, this is Brian. Welcome to The Dose. Let's talk about sales techniques. Right now, look, on the Daily Dose, a lot of times we talk about personal development. We talk about, all those kinds of things. We talk about being better people, developing our character, developing our confidence, the law of attraction, being a more likable person, all these kinds of things. Today, I just want to give you some really simple techniques to close more sales, right? Because a lot of us that are watching the Daily Dose, that are into these kinds of videos, are in some sort of sales business. Now, by the way, even if your business isn't sales, don't fool yourself. You're in sales, okay? You've got to sell yourself to your spouse on what you want to do on Friday night. You got to sell your friends on coming over for the party. You got to sell your kids on making their bed. You and I are both in sales, whether we like it or not, right? So I'm going to give you a couple of techniques here I think will really, really be helpful to you. Number one is ask for the sale, okay? It sounds simplistic, but you'd be shocked. How many salespeople never ask? They never say, are you ready to get started? Are you ready to buy? Are you ready to purchase? Would you like to own this today? Can I get you into this today? Whatever whatever natural question sounds for your industry, like, okay, are you ready to buy this now? You got to ask that question. Most salespeople never do. The second thing is you may need to ask that question multiple times in a number of different ways. And by overcoming objections, now I'm going to give you some real great secrets about overcoming objections here I think are really going to help you. Always feed back to your prospect their own objection. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say you're talking to a prospect about network marketing, and you tell them, you give them the presentation, they've seen it all, and they say, well, it's too expensive to get started. Then you might look at them and say, well, how much could you afford to get started, right? Now, what you're going to do when you do that is you're going to make them stop and think. They may say, nothing. I don't want to invest anything to start a business, in which case they're not a great prospect for you, and that saves everybody some time, right? Or they might say, well, I'd never really thought about it. And you can begin now to have a conversation around the value behind whatever your getting started cost is. Or maybe they'll tell you, I don't like to talk to people. And you might say to them, okay, well, what kind of sales would you like to be in? If it's not face-to-face conversations or over the phone, what kind of business do you see yourself in? Right? In which case they might say, well, I see myself more being an online business person. You could say, well, that's fantastic, because we have an online marketing program that's helping people all over the country market our opportunity with remarkable success, never picking up the phone. And by the way, that's true. I put a link under the video, take you to workingwithbrian.com. You click on that link and I'll show you the exact blueprint of exactly what I'm talking about to market your business without ever touching a phone, right? But that's one way that you could answer that objection, okay? But when you say to them now, if I can show you a way that you don't have, like somebody might say, well, I'm not a salesperson. You can say, well, if I can show you how to make this successful without ever selling, will you be ready to get started? See, so it's not only asking the question, but it's asking the question multiple times, okay? The other one is follow-up. Do you know more than half of salespeople never follow up? They never make anything beyond the first contact. What's even more startling is that over 80% of sales are made after the fifth follow-up, the fifth contact, the fifth exposure. So if you're not asking the question at least 5 times, if you're not following up at least 5 times, you're missing out on 80% of the business partners, customers, closings, or product sales that you could expect if you were following up that many times. So my 2 best techniques for you, no matter what kind of business you're in, if it's business that you're in, right? If you're, build fences for a living, this may not apply. But if you're in any kind of business like the overwhelming majority of us on the Daily Dose are, the 2 best tips that I have for you are, number 1, ask the question, and number 2, ask it more than once, and keep asking until you get the answer that you're looking for. And that's the dose, guys. Go have a great week.